Alright, so I remember when SpaceEngine was launched on Steam in a year ago, June 11th, 2019. At the time of recording this, it is June 17th, 2020. So yeah, it's been a year, and look at that! Wow, they have added like 3D clouds, and I've read it a little bit. They now have two main programmers now, and plus a couple of more contributing programmers, which is really good. I remember when I first played SpaceEngine, it was a long time ago, years ago. I was a little kid, so I had my computer wasn't really fit for SpaceEngine, so I always had bugs and glitches. It was version 0.9.7 point something. I remember when they released 0.9.8.0, which was years ago as well. I remember waiting just for the next version, 0.9.9.0, to come out. They released it on Steam, which is way better than just downloading it on their website. You have way more support and things. But anyways, I'm gonna read this. 1 year ago, on June 11th, 2019, SpaceEngine was released on Steam. Since then, we have released many updates, but haven't implemented many new features. This is because we are focused on fixing bugs and improving stability. Obviously, because they released the game a year ago, and there's still quite a few bugs in this huge game. Anyways, moving on. Among the more noticeable features that were added were more languages, including Chinese and Japanese, improved VR support, a new video recording system based on FFmpeg, and improved auto exposure. Yeah, I remember when they released all these. I always read when they release these development updates. Anyways, moving on. We also have two main programmers now, plus a couple of more contributing programmers, and we are working on many new features. Unfortunately, we haven't had time to assemble all this awesome work together into this anniversary update, but we will release them one by one in the coming months as they are completed. Probably the most impressive feature in the development is 3D clouds, which is being developed by Andrew and Duke. It is also the most complex thing being worked on right now. It is still in a very, very early stage of development. This is a picture of the 3D clouds. Looks quite nice. It's still early development, but at least it adds way more depth and environment to the planet's SpaceEngine. Harbinger Dawn has been working on fuel and thermal systems for ships. There will be two or more types of expandable resources depending which type of engines the ship has: propellant, reaction mass, the substance which the engine expels to produce thrust, like hydrogen, and fuel used to accelerate the propellant and/or produce electricity, like deuterium, uranium, or antimatter. Implementing limited fuel is easy. More complex is integrating this into gameplay. We will eventually need fuel deposit stations, harvesters, and infrastructure like that. The first beta release may have fuel stations with infinite fuel orbiting some icy worlds. good enough for gameplay testing, and mining and processing will be added later. Very early field test video. You guys can go, I'll link it in the description, the field test 3 video. Another important ship mechanic to model is thermal management. The reactors in engines, electronic systems, and even passengers on a ship produce heat. And this heat must be removed from the ship, otherwise the crew will die. Electronics will overheat and the ship could even melt. Since space is a vacuum, this means using radiators. The engines and reactors of advanced starships produce enough heat to cause their radiators and, of course, the engine nozzles to glow in a visible light. The temperature and thus glow brightness/color of these elements depends on the power and efficiency of the engines/reactors and how long they are operated for. The amount of heat stored in the radiators will increase until they reach thermal equilibrium or the engines/reactors are powered down. Here's some pictures of the ships. Very nice. I'll put this video in the description as well. In the upcoming SE games, ships designed in the editor must properly account for heat management. You can't have 1 petawatt of power on board and use only a few small radiator panels. Even if your ship has magic reactor/engine with a 99.99% of efficiency, this is a major challenge with any realistic ship design, and even in SC engines of large ships will most likely accelerate them very slowly, like 0.05 G. Any faster, and the amount of heat generated by the engines will vaporize the ship. Reality is harsh. Fortunately, this will not be a problem in a single-player game, because you can speed up the flow of time. Other types of engines than what SE has now, as well as adding additional operating modes to engines, can also allow for higher acceleration in some cases. Speaking of speeding things up, Vladimir is currently working on some improvements on the engine core, one of which is moving physics to parallel threads to utilize multiple CPU cores, which everyone has now, obviously. The first part is almost done. Calculation of the planet and ship lights and eclipse shadows is now working in parallel to rendering, freeing some 3 to 10 milliseconds of main thread CPU time. This was a large bottleneck, especially in VR, when you could see a distant gas giant with dozens of moons. You can notice this significant FPS drop. When the next step is moving orbital motion and ship physics simulation to threads as well, the main thread should only do rendering. Finally, here are some other things which are being completed as separate tests awaiting integration into SE. Ah yes, polar ice caps. Better ice, right, yeah. New Earth texture with sea ice, yes. Pluto. New Pluto texture. Looks quite nice. Looks very real. As regular for SpaceEngine. Wow. Yes, finally. Oh my god. Look at that. Oh, wow. I am amazed. Like, ever since, like, oh my god. I am absolutely amazed by this because I've always wanted accretion disks to be 3D or volumetric. Like, it makes it so much better and way more real. Now, since nebulas are way more better looking, ever since they released it on Steam, nebulas have been way more better looking and way more real life looking. Now they can finally make the accretion disks on the black holes or whatever has an accretion disk 3D, except being some 2D image that just spins around really fast. It is now 3D and more realistic. Really good. Like, extremely real looking. Like, look at that. I hope they fix the like, look at the jets. In game, when you go to the jets, they come out, but if the black hole is too big, if you go just a little bit far away from the black hole, they disappear. They don't really shoot far. So that's a problem. That kind of ruins it, but yeah. Anyways, with volumetric acceleration disks, things are going to get way more real looking and extremely better. As you can see right here. Look at the outlines. It's so 3D. So good. Good job. Really nice. I am amazed by this new 3D accretion discs. I've always wanted them to be 3D. Ever since I got the game, I always saw that they were 2D. But now finally they're 3D. Anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.